everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jedi Way. We are live here on the John Rocha channel, and that's the new intro. Frank looking greener than anything in the Green Lantern trailer. We are here, or Lantern's trailer rather. We are here to have some fun talking Star Wars time. We're getting so much stuff going on here, but let's introduce ourselves. I am John Rocha, writer, producer, and host here on the Jedi Way, joined as always by my co-host, one of my co-hosts here, who's been with me for a while now. I'm very happy to have him back again. Kevin Smets, how are you? Kevin, how are you, Smasher?
I'm the grizzled old vet of this squad now. Good to see you. We got our Rook down here. Rook, go fetch me some slipper.
What?
My dog's all over the place down here. How's everybody
fighters
doing?
against a Star Destroyer? Come on.
My friend sent me a link to that video where they were like, I think, Frank, you've sent it to me before too, where the end celebration of A New Hope just hits differently after you watch all of Rogue One and all of Andor. It would be like all of a sudden, like some kid comes in for 10 days and they give him medals, but all of like the people that like suffered and died, that they're not getting any love.
Oh, cool. Luke gets something. That's nice. Get Luke something. That's cool. And joining us, of course, as always now.
I'm still here. I'll be right back.
Okay, now that he's officially part of the intro, that is the great Frank Janisch. How are you, Frank? How are you, Frankie Nubbers?
I'm doing great. I had this beautiful soliloquy to praise Kevin, but he's now left, so I guess he can never hear the words. Now he's back. Look at that. Now he's back.
Okay. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties today, but we'll figure it out. What's up?
Yeah. Have you ever not had? I'm always wondering. Like every show, there's something. I know there's something every show. I'm gonna have to come down
on the Kalinowski level over at Harloff's channel, but
not quite. No, not quite. No, that's infuriating. I might have to come down and look at your setup and go, "This is what you're doing wrong. This is all."
We should just go there, look at it, and then shame him, and then leave.
You wouldn't want, it's duct tape and wires. It's bad.
Why do you have 10 switches? What's wrong with you? Anyway. As I said, we got so much to get into. Here we are live. So for those of you joining us on a Saturday night, we appreciate you all madly. Please feel free to send in your Streamlabs super chats as we go along. If those of you watching it later, maybe seeing some of you enjoying us on a Sunday afternoon, relaxing, please, if you want to send in some support, you hit that thanks button, send in some love as well. Gentlemen, we got a lot to get into, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about this. There was a new...
What was the praise you were going to give me, Frank? I want to hear it.
Oh yeah, the praise.
I lost my chance.
I forget.
God damn it!
Yeah,
I'm back. I'm good now.
Are you sure? Okay, here we go. Well, there was a new Empire magazine that came out that profiling the Mandalorian and Grogu, which of course is just around the corner here. And there was some interesting comments within this piece here on Empire magazine, and Dave Filoni was asked about Mandalorian and Grogu and the status of Star Wars right now. And he said, Episode 7 was a completely different entity. I had dreams of Episode 7 since I came out of Return of the Jedi. You were like, after 6 comes 7. Where's 7? We're in a completely different era of Star Wars. Now, Mandalorian and Grogu are free to be simply, quote, a big celebration of the two main characters rather than having to contend with introducing a new trilogy of Star Wars movies. So that's an interesting part of this thing, but also he also talked about, or Pedro Pascal also talked about where he sees this whole thing going and what is going to happen in this movie, and he talks about the armor being dropped because of love for Grogu. But I want to focus on Filoni's comments. Is this his way of basically saying, we surrender, it's cool, just come have some fun, it's not that big of a deal, it's not connected to anything? Your thoughts on this? What do you think, Kevin?
It seemed a little low-key shade, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, I had my thoughts of what Episode 7 was. Like, what? So you didn't think Force Awakens was your cup of tea, buddy? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
What's with the hate on Force Awakens? But yeah, I mean, it's obviously like they're trying to get everybody. It's the same thing when Force Awakens came out, and they thought that there was still a lot of prequel hate, and they're like, we're going back to the way the original trilogy was. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and everybody was so like they were so worried that like, there was going to be too many Clone Wars references. There was a clone reference in The Force Awakens, but I just remember them focusing on like, this is going to be back for all of you, the older who grew up with it. So this sounds like another like pivot now where they're like, all right, well, it might not be your Episode 7, but this is going to be a whole new territory now. They're kind of wiping the slate clean. So I laugh at it, but anything that's going to get them back on track, I don't mind. So while I'm making fun of it a little bit and kind of like side-eyeing the comments, because it doesn't quite seem like what I would say, I understand the intent, but now they got to stick the landing.
That's true. And this is one of there's going to be more stuff coming out from this interview as the days go on. But Frank, this is an interesting thing to lean in on his comments here. How do you take these comments from Filoni? Do you see them as shade as Kevin is alluding to, or do you think these are more just kind of like tempering expectations? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't really. Shade didn't come into my mind. It kind of seems, I think there is a point. He has a point about it's completely different than Episode 7. Although this time period that we're in is sandwiched in between the sequel trilogy and the original trilogy, along with all the other shows. So to say that it doesn't have to do particularly some lifting within that structure the way Episode 7 had to pick everything back up, I don't know. I still feel like it could easily do that. So perhaps it is lowering expectations. Perhaps this is kind of like a shot for, hey, don't expect what, don't bring up these fantasy lists of things you want to see, because if you do, I'm afraid you might be disappointed. So let the movie just be the movie and what it's going to do. And as if it's a celebration of these two characters, I wouldn't start, I guess, prognosticating who's going to show up, who could. We know Zeb and and everyone's going to have their predictions about the Ghost Crew and all of that, sure.
Yeah.
But beyond, maybe don't expect a Luke Skywalker sighting, maybe not. Yeah. So I don't. It's I know they're vague enough where I'm like, interesting, but also I'm not going to read that much into it unless something else comes out in this article that can kind of build off of what he said.
I'm curious. The timing of the comments is interesting because we still have that Simon Kinberg trilogy that is apparently still being worked on, still going to happen. So when you say I was expecting a trilogy, now we don't have that. We're in a new era of Star Wars, but we still have a trilogy coming. So are we really in a new era of Star Wars? It's a bit confusing to hear this approach. And I feel like this is just trying to say whatever they need to say here to make everybody feel warm and fuzzy and come into the theaters to see this movie. Because I think they feel this movie is not getting hardly any traction compared to the movies from the past. And he's almost trying to change the expectations. You can move your excitement for these trilogy movies to these other movies that are kind of one-offs and have some fun with it. Because we don't know what Starfighter is going to lead into. And then just trying to pan this off or play this off as just a big celebration of these characters. Don't we have a Dave Filoni movie coming down the road here where we get the Avengers game day or Avengers?
They push that, right? Or
that's what I'm saying. So is this his way of saying maybe that's not going to happen? So just enjoy this for now. Nothing is in stone right now. So just enjoy this for now. That's what seems like what he's saying when I look at these comments,
I still think the movie's also going to do.
Let's talk about how Rotta the Hutt looks just like Rhoda from the cartoon, though, man.
And we'll get to that in just a second. What were you saying, Frank? Sorry to finish this conversation. We'll move on pictures.
What was I going to say? I was going to say I still think the movie is going to do quite well. I mean, I think this is a movie that is going to, I think leans a little more overtly kiddie-ish, just because of Baby Grogu and the kind of the fan base that comes with it. I think I would probably, it's kind of, I don't know if this is a good comparison or not, or a proper one. If like when animated movies come out and the parents always bring their kids to go see, animated movies, but they're also at a level where as an adult or, as a parent, you can also appreciate. I wonder if that's going to be kind of the tone that Mando and Grogu has when you're watching this movie.
Yeah. Well, he further went on to say about, let me read this. This is from the Empire article. Is that talking about everything they said? Yes, the action will be bigger. Jon Favreau, the action will be bigger. There will be massive practical sets, puppetry galore, stop motion, courtesy of Phil Tippett Studio. But at the center of this is the Mandalorian and Grogu relationship, right? What can't you do now, said Filoni, noting that the spectacle only goes so far. It's a question of, is the audience going to believe it? Are they going to feel it? That comes through the characters. If the characters are connecting, then the adventure plays, the action plays, the tension plays. So, yeah, I mean, this is a pretty innocuous comments on that end. I mean, that's what you would say about any adventure film, right? Are people going to care about the characters? Because then we'll be able to sell them on the journey if they care about the characters. So I don't know as much to gain out of what he just said there. But let's go to what Kevin was bringing up here. Let's look at these pictures again. You got a yoked Rotta the Hutt. You've got Mandalorian on an ATST there. You've got Mandalorian and Grogu sitting in that director's chair and what have you. There's a cute little one of him with a slate, Grogu with a slate as well. But yeah, what are your thoughts on these photos, these shots, and especially a first big look at Rotta the Hutt? Does this look believable and cool, or kind of childish and foolish? What do you guys think?
Well, it looks he looks like the special edition version of Jabba. Remember, there was a couple Jabbas they went through.
Yeah,
he looks like the special edition version of Jabba.
Okay,
and I don't mean that with shade. Like, I like that they're, because everybody, when that came out, they're like, Jabba looks too young. Like, what is this? He doesn't look anything like the Return of the Jedi. So then they made him look older. So then obviously they're like, well, if that's a young Jabba, let's throw that on the Rota model. So I would say he's looking yoked, just like Randy Orton, who will take the title from Cody at WrestleMania. I'm just answering. Yes, man. Let them cook. They'll be good. But yeah, I think that those, the gladiator scene kind of reminds me of the Thor. He's a friend from work gladiator scene. Now that I look at, if you think about it a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, Roto looks good. I like the weapons. Any of those kind of weapons are pretty badass. The pictures of Grogu with the clipboard and stuff's cute. But I do like that's a video game waiting to happen there on the bottom right. Don't you think, Frank?
Totally.
Oh yeah. I will say I'm pretty jacked to see Rotta the Hutt. Like I think that scene's gonna be really fun. I also think that arena scene, it reminds me of if you played Bounty Hunter on PS2. It starts out
one of the best games of all time.
Exactly. It starts out in the arena. So an arena setting like that. And I think you go back there again in the game as well. So I do like that we're seeing that. I'm curious to see what kind of movements Rotta the Hutt, can do that we've never seen before. From a hut. And I think that'll be fun to experience.
Well, they made Yoda flip around like Sonic the Hedgehog. They can do a hut, jumping around. Under how many Punky Muffin references are we going to get? I think Vegas would have a 0.5. What do you think, Rocha? You putting $100 down in Vegas on a Punky Muffin reference? Now that's something that his dad would call him.
Right.
So his dad's dead, but is that something that they would wedge in there just to really reward fans of the original Clone Wars appearance?
I wonder, maybe one mention at most. I might go
Muffin.
Yeah, I might go to one. But it all depends on do Mando and Grogu know this about him to be able to use it as a reference? I don't know. So I would say one.
Alan Smithy says Zeb would call him that. That's tracks.
Zeb, probably.
Yeah, I could hear it.
If he's even there.
It'll be like, well, I saw the Clone Wars, the Clone Wars in 2008 in the theaters.
Well, what do you think of these photos, Frank? Anything jump out at you other than the video game aspect of it all? What do you expect to see? Does this give you a better idea of what we're going to get in the movie, do you think?
Not really. It's kind of anything, dude. It's kind of like standard operating procedure as it comes to these Empire photo shoots and sets and whatnot. And I think the images look great. I'm not saying they look horrible or anything like that. I just don't think it gives me any further indication of what to expect. I do like, like I said, Rotta the Hutt. That image is pretty cool. It does make me curious and excited to see that scene in particular, how that's going to unfold. And I suspect that'll be a pretty fun sequence to see in theaters. So, but the pictures are, I don't know. I think, are they going to release more as we get close to this release date for this issue?
I think they better release everything, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think they
feel
movie,
like, they better release that.
People aren't that excited for this movie. So I would release it all if I were them, to be honest with you. But I like the photos. I saw the trailer the other day when I went to see Scream 7. Woof. And it played. It played in the theater. It looks great in the theater. So I was like, yeah, maybe, most of us watch these trailers on our screens or on our phones and so on our computers. So it's not really made for that spectacle. So when you get in the theater, you're just like, oh, okay, this actually looks pretty fucking cool. So we'll see if it ends up looking badass. My concern, you brought up, Kevin, really well. I initially liked the Yoda Sonic thing, but as the years have gone on, I've grown to hate it because I like the practical effect Yoda. This bopping around and kind of stuff, it just
should have been a Gandalf or Saruman battle. It should have been with two wizards fighting.
Exactly. So I wonder if this is going to be more practical. And Filoni's been a guy who is certainly about practical effects. So I wonder if this is going to be a little bit more practical in its usage and its movement. Is the CGI not going to be overdone so that you're getting him like doing little mini flips or whatever, or spin arounds or whatever he can use his tail to do? Are we going to have less of that? Is it going to be more like
Rocha?
Hulk
Someone in the
versus
chat might have
Yeah.
your answer.
Okay.
Chris, if you highlight his comment, you can see it. Chris, question for you. I know that they were doing that out in LA. I used to work for New Deal Studios, which was a miniature effects company, and I had left. My last project, I think I did Spider-Man 2 and I did National Treasure, but then they ended up doing the Tumblr for Batman Begins, and that was the first project they did after I left the company. But I was curious, if you were on set, were there any people that you knew from New Deal Studios that were over on set? But that would be some good intel right there, Rocha. You're asking about, he's saying he was a puppeteer on set. How much puppeteering was involved with that?
Yeah. Chris, let us know in the chat. He says, I worked on the practical effects for the Mandalorian and Grogu and was a puppeteer on set. Will this film change the franchise forever? No, it was never intended to be a saber, just a fun adventure. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah,
but it was intended to be a season, right? And so now it's become a movie. So yeah, well, no, I never thought it was going to change the franchise, but
I wonder if
it's coming at a time when it's in trouble. Yeah,
I wonder if the majority of the opinion when you come out of that theater is go, oh, thank God that was a movie and not season 4 of The Mandalorian. Imagine if that was a season of Mando, and then everyone would be like, should just made it a movie. So it's it probably might go either way.
Yeah, everybody's gonna see the movie that should have been a season 2. So it's gonna be a lot of
that. Chris said, I worked for Legacy Effects, did not see New Deal. Lots of puppeteering.
Nice, man.
Interesting.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Would love to know what exactly you puppeteered so we can look for that when we see
Din
the
Djarin,
movie.
they puppeteered him the whole time. He wasn't on set.
Tough Luck says, I still think Mando and Grogu will be a sleeper hit with $500 million worldwide on a $166.4 million budget. People underestimate Mando and Grogu like how the Emperor underestimated the small Rebel Alliance fleet in episode 6.
Nice reference.
Ooh. I think 500, they'd be happy as shit to make 500 off this. I think 435 is where it's going to top out, but 500 would be amazing for them, I think. What do you guys think?
If it's not good and people aren't liking it, it could do I could see like a 230, 330.
Yeah. I mean, audiences are pretty brutal now. Like if they don't want to go, they don't go. Megan 2.0 thought it was going to rule the fucking summer. It got smoked. So,
I wonder how quickly it'll move to Disney Plus, depending on, especially how the box office is going. And then, just kind of, all right, let's put on Disney Plus. I don't know.
I still can't believe over the pandemic, they were doing same day releases on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Pissed off Christopher Nolan, man.
Wonder Woman 1984. I remember that. What do you think happens, though? I mean, does this damage Filoni if the film comes out and it's not a hit? It's not a strong hit. I mean, this guy's now in charge of Star Wars. So does this come out and damage him in any way or affect him in any way? Or is this more like a Favreau one, take it on the chin, and you move on?
No, all the fans are going to give him plenty of wiggle room. What are you talking about? If it sucks, they're going to be like, no, it's fine. Oh, my God, it's going to be Armageddon. I mean, that's why I'm hoping it's good. I like to talk a little smack, and, I'm a little, hesitant because they don't seem to be promoting it too well. But they're due for a hit. When there's a hit, there's less drama. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's true.
With Batman v Superman, that came out, and as much as I loved it, there's so much drama. I was so relieved when Wonder Woman came out and everybody loved it. Remember, it was like universally loved, and even Aquaman came out and it made $1 billion. Like, it was like, cool. It's like, that's another 6 months of not having a lot of drama, and then Justice League, Joss version comes out. Then you're back to the drama. So I'm really hoping for a hit with these guys for sure. I don't want to, because then it's just going to be nonstop negativity until Starfighter and the negative reaction going into Starfighter. I'd rather have them have some positive momentum going into it.
Yeah. I mean, you go ahead, Frank. Go ahead.
I think it's going to be a good movie, and I think the younger audience is going to probably love this movie, while the older audience will get on their cinema hat and point to things and say, "This isn't my Star Wars. I didn't grow up with Star Wars like this." Blah blah blah.
What is this?
And,
what is this shit?
What are we watching? What is it? So I think the audience that's going to grow up with the movie is going to, I think, love the movie. And I think just that's kind of how I feel like the fandom has gone as the years have gone on, where it's, I grew up with the prequels. I love them.
Yeah.
People who came, so it's this every generation or prior generation, newer generation, they love certain movies because it comes out during a time in their lives that impacts them more than another period of their life. And so I just think that's how it's going to go. And given how online discourse goes, we're going to have to wait 20 years for the generation that saw this movie to give the real opinion on the movie, So
That's true. That's true. I do feel like Cam asks, how is this on Filoni? It was greenlit under KK. No, Filoni has been the chief creative officer for the last 2 years. This is what Kathleen Kennedy said. And the progression has been going on, the procession rather of moving her out and moving him in has been going on for 2 years. And he is tied to Mandalorian and Grogu through Favreau. They both worked on this, and this is their baby. So Filoni is absolutely tied to this. It doesn't mean this is an indication of what his rule is going to be like for Star Wars, but he is absolutely tied to Mando and Grogu. That just because Favreau directed it doesn't mean it has nothing to do with it.
John, if you scroll up a couple more, he gave another little exclusive, a Jedi Way exclusive, straight from the set.
Grogu and all 4 Anzellans had all their sets built off the ground, and we puppeteer the puppets underneath the sets. Very difficult yet very rewarding. Whoa, did you puppeteer Grogu? That's amazing. That's awesome. Thank you so much for watching the show, dude. That's incredible.
Like shades of the Muppets right there, dude.
Yeah, no, that's actually really cool. So yeah, thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. Good to know going forward with that. So was there any puppeteering with Rotta, or is that all CGI?
So there's 6 people in there.
He was moving him around. Well,
remember
that film,
another Kalinowski reference. Kalinowski works at Universal Studios, and one time he was at the park, but he's like, "Oh, sorry, I was in the Triceratops." Like he was at the butt of the Triceratops.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. When I went the other day, he was the Triceratops. He was the raptor. Trying to bite my head off. Oh yeah, he's in the he plays the raptor sometimes.
He's done the trainer too, the Owen, Chris Pratt type too.
Yeah, Shannon does that.
Forget you used to be a big star over there at Wizarding World, dude.
I wouldn't. Not a big star. Yeah, I did the thing, but not a big star.
Yeah, man. He was like the train conductor guy at Wizarding World, man.
And the wand keeper. More wand keeper than
that's
train,
awesome.
But yes, I enjoyed both.
That was a lot of fun. Pretty cool.
Yeah, wand keeper's the best. Train is you're dealing with a lot of people with the train.
You had to deal with people that you knew, right? And you had to stay in character and not
be like outlaws. I don't know who the outlaw is. And be stupid shit like that, with my terrible Cockney accent. Who's this outlaw? I don't know what you're talking about. So it was terrible. It was pretty bad.
That sounds a little more Australian, I thought.
Yeah, I know. Well, I was terrible at it, clearly. Yeah. Cockney's not really my thing.
That's Australian Hogwarts.
And it's been
now that's a wand.
I did it.
It's not a wand. This is a wand.
No, this is a wand.
Tail feather. Tail feather. No, it's been 8 years. I lost it by then. Anyway, we know Mando and Grogu is happening very, very soon in May. But a film that might not be happening, according to my brother at the Hot Mic, Jeff Snyder here, is Dawn of the Jedi. Remember this 2 years ago, Kathleen Kennedy appeared at Star Wars Celebration saying there were 3 new Star Wars films. One of them was definitely Dawn of the Jedi here from James Mangold, but there was also the Rey movie from Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy and another movie as well. But the questions have lingered over this movie, over Mangold's film. And earlier this year, Kennedy even revealed that Mangold and Beau Willimon had generated, quote, an incredible script. But Jeff, this past week on the Hot Mic, said, quote, I can't say, he's revealed that his sources tell him the movie is dead. I can't say that conclusively, but it doesn't sound good. I think Mangold is focused on the Timothée Chalamet heist movies, what I think, and I think Swamp Thing could be after that. And we just had the news that broke a couple days ago that Beau Willimon is writing a Game of Thrones movie. So it seems, Frank, like this Dawn of the Jedi film might not be happening. This Rey film might not be happening. And they're just moving towards this Kinberg trilogy after Starfighter. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think this thing is dead?
None of those movies are happening. None of them are going to happen. They're not.
Okay.
I just don't think they're like, if they really wanted to make those, and I do think they tried, obviously the rewrites you heard about with the Rey movie and all of that stuff. I certainly think they tried, but I don't think once they couldn't crack the code on the Rey movie, it was like, okay, well, James, and I forget who was going to make what was that third? I don't even remember what that third movie that was supposed to be.
Oh God, what was the third movie supposed to be?
I can't even recall right now.
Yeah.
But
someone else,
yeah,
somebody recall in chat. Someone tell us in the chat. Go ahead, Frank. Go ahead.
but yeah, I don't think the movie's going to happen. I thought it was a weird at the time. I thought it was interesting that James Mangold movie was going to do like the Dawn of the Jedi, and of all people, James Mangold. Like I thought that was an interesting choice for that. But now that Filoni is in the position that he is in, he strikes me as somebody that anyone was going to approach the origins of the Jedi, that Filoni would want to have a lot of, I think, input in that kind of project. And maybe, as he said, we're in a new era of Star Wars where, know what, for this type of movie, that's going to set a basis for the Jedi and going forward, and how that's supposed to, in some way, connect to the eras of the Jedi that we have already gotten, and how that would, where you could kind of like tie these lines of like sow these seeds. I think that's an interesting project, but I think a daunting one, because you're talking about an origin of something. We don't even have an origin of Yoda or a lot of characters in the Star Wars universe, and part of the mysticism that comes with those types of characters kind of elevates them in a way that keeps us very interested or curious about those characters. So sometimes knowing too much about something, which I think which is another story we'll talk about here. I don't know it's necessarily a good thing, but like I've said, if it's good, well, I can't really say anything. But so we'll see.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on this, Frank? I mean, I'm sorry, Kevin. Do you think this is done? Do you think this is over? And Filoni's coming in, wiping the slate from Kathleen Kennedy stuff, and they're just going to start from scratch, put his plans in motion along with Lin-Manuel Brennan's. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, you mentioned Game of Thrones, and it's interesting because I think that this is a good idea to stay away from it. Just like we don't know Yoda's species or where he came from or the name of the species, and George always wanted that a mystery. Why can't the earliest origins of the Jedi just be that? Starting at the very beginning with his probably like sticks and rocks and you know what I mean? Like very high concept. Goes so far away from what makes a Star Wars movie. While it might be good and experimental for something like Visions, I think banking it on a whole movie would scare people away. And the reason I mentioned Game of Thrones was there was a prequel. Now we have the prequel House of the Dragon, which is great. And you have the 97 Kingdoms, another spinoff. They had another spinoff that they shot a pilot for called Blood Moon. There was a cast, they shot a whole pilot. And one of the reasons why they shelved it after the network saw it was the poor reception to the pilot. They just didn't think it was very good. But one of the main reasons was it was too far away from the source material. It was too far away from, it didn't feel Game of Thrones enough. Now you're going to Dawn of the Jedi. If it's going to feel more like a movie about like that movie 10,000 BC more than, the Phantom Menace. Maybe these are not questions that we need answered because they, now I don't know. I don't have privy to the script. So maybe it's a bustling universe anyway, and there's Coruscant in it and speeder bike chases. Who knows? But from the sounds of it, needing to know, just like I know that they were talking about the children, right? I forget in Game of Thrones, but like the very earliest origins of like children and how the first White Walkers came that was all kind of thrown in it, but like it's so long ago that it doesn't feel like Game of Thrones. You want Game of Thrones for more of the stuff that we like Game of Thrones for, which then they do House of the Dragon, which has all of that family drama, right? So I cite Blood Moon being canceled as a reason why maybe they canceled this. It might not be that what Mangold had wasn't a interesting idea, but I think maybe if Star Wars was hitting on all cylinders and they had hit after hit, maybe that's something they could be like, well, let's try this. But because it's like when you go on a losing streak and you're trying to make the playoffs, they don't have the luxury of taking a couple of weeks off, like in football. Like they got to win 4 out of the last 5 games, right? Or they got to win throughout the end of the season in order to make the playoffs. And that's what Star Wars is at right now because they've lost the fans' trust. They need everything to be a hit, and maybe they just think like this might be too high concept. You know what I mean?
I think they're playing it. Yeah, I think you're right, Kevin, that they are going to play it safe. They want to go with things that people know, environments that people know. There's a reason they brought back the original trilogy characters to be part of the stuff over there at Disneyland. They brought the music back. There's this thing of going back to the beginning, right? What is that in Princess Bride? Fezzik said to go back to the beginning. But Curtis said here, Filoni knows Lucas wants the Dawn of Jedi to be a mystery. That's exactly what seems to be what you were saying, Kevin. So that could be a very much a possibility as well, because Filoni is more adhering to what Lucas, has kind of seen Star Wars through. I'm sure they've had a number of conversations. I'm sure Lucas was like, I get what Kathleen wanted to do, but I'm not a fan of it. And you've heard him in comments, kind of alluding to that. And so that happens. I mean, Hamill is still passive aggressively saying shit about The Last Jedi. The other day on Actors for Variety, you hear him talk about how it wasn't his vision for Luke yet again. And Filoni and Johnson had to talk him into it. So, there is this feeling that these last few years just didn't quite work overall to satisfy the fandom. So maybe they think going back to the safer places of this stuff, leaving stuff a little more mysterious is the way to get people back excited about it. Because one of the things we love about Star Wars fans is speculating about the mystery of stuff, speculating what it could be. And when you remove that, then you kind of remove some of the foundational core of what makes you a fan of Star Wars is speculating where all it could be.
Yeah, and good on Filoni, by the way. If he did shut this down, I've always been a little meh about it. Like, go into the Old Republic, that'll be fun. But like, if Filoni, if one of the bonuses of Filoni taking over is he's going to be a little bit more custodian of some of George Lucas's wishes, especially as Lucas gets older, I'm sure they're going to have conversations where he's like, "Hey, when I'm not here, the last of the old school will you be? Please protect it. Like, don't let them do a Chris Pratt first ever Jedi movie." You know what I mean? Like, let's no offense to Chris Pratt. I'm just saying, like, don't get them.
It would be Chris Pratt.
Some questions don't need answering. Don't do. You know what I mean?
It's a shame though, because I mean, Mangold's such a great filmmaker. It would have been nice to see his approach. Yeah, that's true. That's a fair point. He could maybe swing back and do something else. I mean, it's almost like Filoni is Luke, right? And Lucas is like Yoda on his deathbed in Jedi, right?
Yeah,
so it's that kind of thing where he's being entrusted. So yeah,
someone needs to do an AI animation of that.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's all. I said this to Jeff when we were talking about it. I think it's all dead. I personally think it's all dead. It's just like Frank said at the beginning of our discussion on this. It's all dead. I think Filoni wants to wipe the slate clean. You mentioned sports. It's like coming in as a new GM. You want to hire your coach. You want to hire the right players. You want to do it your way because it's your ass on the line. So I wouldn't be surprised that Filoni. I mean, I think the Kinberg trilogy, he's been a part of that for the last 2 years. But I think after that, everything around that is going to be what he wants to do here. And we got so much coming for Star Wars at this point. I mean, it may seem like it's only Starfighter and Mando and Grogu, but we still have Maul to come out later this year. There's a Star Wars Visions still to come out as well. Ahsoka Season 2 is coming out as well. So there's more stuff. Who knows if that Ben Solo movie will finally see the light of day. Taika Waititi's film is still apparently dancing around. Where's the Lando movie? The Rogue Squadron movie? A Season 4 of Mandalorian has been alluded to as well. Is this Rangers of the New Republic going to make a comeback now that we're all like open with Gina Carano fighting on Netflix? Like, there's all kinds of possibilities that could come about here over the next few years that will surprise a lot of us. But a lot of things are in motion. So how much of it we'll actually see. So, all right, let's move on to this. Let's get into the muck. Let's get into the muck here. Leslye Headland, who was the showrunner of course, the Acolyte show that was canceled. She revealed how the show would have used Yoda had it continued. In a recent interview, she revealed that season 2 would have explored a previously unknown aspect of Yoda, his capability of dabbling within the dark side. Remember, he made that cameo appearance at the end of season 1 when Vernestra visited him to consult him on something important. But during her discussion on the George Lucas talk show, Patrick Cote-Noir asked Leslye about if Yoda would help Vernestra in season 2 cover up some of the questionable actions. She said, for sure, yeah. This meant that Yoda would have shown his dark side by supporting Vernestra in blaming Sol, killed by Osha after he admitted to killing her mother, for Indara, Torben, Kelnaka, Jeki, and Yord's death. He would also support her in framing Sol as a rogue Jedi to protect Council from the Galactic Senate's scrutiny investigation and hide her former apprentice Chimere's involvement after she confided the truth to him and kept going and said that don't come at me in the comments. Yoda did this all through the Clone Wars. So, Kevin, your thoughts on this as you cover your face? Leslye was going for it, if nothing else. Your thoughts?
Can't help but think what Star Wars Theory must think of this development, man.
Gosh.
He hates her. Listen, I can't disagree. Well, everybody can cite that. Well, they didn't tell Luke that his dad was Vader and stuff like that, and Obi-Wan, and that was misgiving. But like framing another Jedi, no, like the whole time that show was out, there was episodes I liked, there's episodes I didn't like, and I always tried to defend the filmmaker when everybody was jumping on her. But like some of these things, man, were like she wanted to. There was another quote too, Rocha, if you want to look it up when Frank talks, wanting to make. She thought of Plagueis as Golem. No, dude, Plagueis would not be like Golem. That was your inspiration. Then you didn't read the source material. You didn't read the novel. You don't know. You could call George Lucas. He at least talked to the writers of the Plagueis novel. Like Plagueis was highly intelligent. Everything, he was 7 steps ahead. That's why Palpatine was so good at it. He learned from the best. To say that he was a Golem type crazy figure that was just hanging on to power and becoming a monster that way, that's not her. That's not him. Clearly has no idea what she's talking about. And I get it. The Jedi made mistakes, but they were mistakes out of, as Luke says in The Last Jedi, out of their own hubris and ego, that they thought that they could do things, right? That they thought they could train the chosen one. That they thought that they could tell Luke, hey, you got to go kill your dad because Obi-Wan was too wimpy to do it in his show. You know, let's just do it. Why would he put it on this poor kid to do it? But like, as far as Yoda, like dabbling in the dark side and like talk about like, I understand. I never understood the whole, like you RAPED'd my childhood. And you know, if you didn't like a movie, right? If you didn't like the prequels and oh my God, it destroyed the original trilogy for you. I get that. Or like how they felt that Luke's character was assassinated in The Last Jedi because he just gave up. And that's not how their Luke would be, right? Yeah. It's the same thing for me, Yoda. Like Yoda, I don't think he would be cool with that. I think he would advise her to say no to the council. Right. We must tell everyone, and we must be honest and forthright if we're going to have a good relationship with the chancellor. He would not be involved in this. I think he would try to talk her out of it. So I'm just so glad, as much as I had rewatched it and I was like, there are some merits to it. Like, just so dangerous. It's like someone had the keys to that car and was driving around recklessly. I understand that there was other things where, you know, Yoda kind of played things close to the chest, but like involving, like framing someone that he respected and to ruin and tarnish his good name just to like protect the order. I think he would be one of the people standing firmly on the side of no, let's not do that. Yeah. Well, her logic, Frank, just give you a little context. Her logic was, she said that Yoda, without thoroughly researching the mysterious clone army, something could have saved the Jedi Order from Palpatine's annihilation of them through Order 66. Yoda carelessly took command of them and used them in various battles. Moreover, Yoda and the other Jedi expelled Ahsoka from the Jedi Order after Barriss Offee framed her for bombing the Jedi Temple. And of course, they did try to bring her back, but they painted the entire ordeal as a test from the Force. But Ahsoka saw through that and left. So they didn't paint it that way on purpose. They realized, oh, wow, in our errors, we did put you through this great test. Dude, watch the show more, Leslye. You don't... Frank, again, hubris. He thought he can control the clones. Hey, the clone army's here. Let's use them anyway. I think it might have been more safer to check and make sure they don't have chips in their neck and stuff like that. But again, hindsight's 20/20. And that whole thing with Ahsoka, I'm sorry, I'm fired up about this, but that whole thing with Ahsoka is, they realized they did throw Ahsoka away with the key, but they were presented evidence that was like irrefutable. That's why Anakin had to go on that mission to clear her name. Yeah. Right. You know what I mean? To free the, it was a good frame. It was a good frame job. Yeah. They felt bad. They offered her back. They said, look, think of this as a test. You don't even need to do your trials. Are bad. And she refused it. But they didn't try to frame it and be like, oh, we were in on it all along. That is false. That is her trying to make excuses. Not everybody needs to be morally gray. Not everybody coming back after a reboot needs to be depressed and sad. Not everybody needs to have a piece of the dark side. Yoda could be one of those that look, as Mark Ellis used to always joke in his stand-up. He said Yoda is the most outstanding member of the Jedi Council because he lived to be 800 years old and he didn't get a single HR complaint from anybody with that Jedi Council. That's a Mark Ellis joke. Yes. Or he buried the HR complaints. I don't know. Yoda's pretty powerful. Frank, what are your thoughts? I'm fired up. Yeah, it's all right. What are your thoughts on these comments here from Leslye, brother?
I always think about, what do you want this character to represent? You know, what has Yoda represented all this time? And then to throw in, you know, like a realistic, bureaucratic, political type of situation and have Yoda at the forefront of navigating, you know, the dark side of doing Jedi business or what have you, and things of that nature. I don't know that I would want to see Yoda like that, or used in that way. I think the idea with within the Jedi Order and everything that would come with kind of framing and doing all that stuff is an interesting idea. It's an interesting thought exercise of what this order is supposed to stand for, and how could institutions like this get what's the word I'm looking for?
Corrupted or
corrupted, or led astray, or deviate off of their their mandate. Right. I think that's all really interesting, but I don't think Yoda is a character that would want involved in something with those type of stories. However, when you look at Yoda and you go, well, he would be a character that could send certain things, and he's he has that power about him. I don't know. It's really conflicting because I like the idea of it, but I just don't like the idea of Yoda and because of what he represents and has represented in terms of, the light and doing the most good that you can do. I don't know. I don't, again, it's kind of, maybe it's a cop out to say this, but if it was done really well, it could possibly change my mind, but I don't like her odds if this ever were to be, actually a thing.
Didn't he fuck up enough? Didn't he?
I mean, he did. He certainly has.
Like, let the guy have some fucking wins in his life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you got to look at it. You got to understand when you walk into a franchise, and because I can see it from both sides. You're a creator in a room, and you like, this would be so cool, like giving some more dimension to Yoda. He's more than just good. There's like some elements here. Clone Wars showed us a lot of these characters have some flaws and foibles and mistakes, and just like regular people do in real life. So they kind of took down a little bit of the hero worship, but they also filled it back up again with other great actions that they did throughout Clone Wars. So it wasn't like Yoda kept fucking up or ignoring shit through the whole Clone Wars. There was a lot of stuff that went down. The problem is the longer a franchise lives, the more you have to start going, well, how much of this shit did they ignore? And how much, we still don't know how the First Order, how did they all blow that First Order thing? It's like, how do you not see that they're coming back? Of course, I mean, we're currently living through it, but like the idea of this whole situation of like, well, what happened here? And so that's where it becomes dangerous. I mentioned Luke earlier. Luke, Yoda, these are the people you don't touch. Leia, what are you going to do? Start showing Leia and say like, Leia fucked a lot of shit up here. Leia did this or that. Like, they came close to it in some of the books that came out. Bloodlines was an interesting book that explored Leia's kind of shifting stuff. So, but like the more you add, now you have an angry kid
politician.
Yeah.
Leia was on Epstein Island.
Now you have Jesus. Now you have a corrupt son of Leia that almost became a new Darth Vader. Like you're already like, it's just this kind of thing that they need to add the darkness, but you don't have to do it. I think Kevin said it well. You don't have to bring these characters back and do this to them just to make them interesting. They were already interesting. It wasn't just because they were good. It's because of, in the face of all this darkness, they kept their strength and belief in the things that they believe in. And that matters as much as you want to give levels and nuances to other characters. So I kind of agree with both of you somewhere in the middle. Like Frank, I think it would be interesting to see it happen. I just don't think Yoda's the character to do that with. And it would have been actually more interesting if Yoda's the one hunting down what happened and finding out what happened. And there are other Jedi in league hiding this from him. I think that would have been more interesting to see for a season 2.
Yeah, I think that trying to do a cover up is something that a Jedi would believe, like, hey, maybe this is the best for the Order. But Yoda has 700 years at this time on him. Like, I think 700 years would tell him, hey, that's not the way to go. He has the wisdom that would prevent him from doing something like that. And look, he didn't have the wisdom to stop the Clone Wars from happening. And, a lot of that has to do with Sidious creating a shroud of the dark side. But still.
Yeah. But but they have to make that work, right? Like, because you'd be like Yoda would totally stop this. Yoda would absolutely have stopped this, but because we're going forward and we're retconning, we have to make him make a mistake here or something because it had to happen. And so that's the unfortunate thing. As I said, the more stories you add and the more you stay around this timeline, the more you have to create instances for your characters to ignore or make a mistake about a certain thing. So it's dangerous.
And Rocha, if you think about it, when Vanestra did that, we didn't care that much. But remember, Laura was a huge fan of the books.
Yes.
yeah.
She kind of probably felt a certain way about it. Like, well, I
Laura
grew,
was
like, I grew up, but I read all these books having her, and now she's doing that. It's kind of the characters. I forget what her actual thought on Vanestra being part of all of that. But, you know, that's something you can do with new characters, you know, and it maybe, you know.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Laura was not happy about it. Sorry, go ahead. Frank.
Yeah. And lastly, you know, when Star Wars movies are made, you know, people want to point to, you know, look how George did it. I mean, George wasn't trying to please anybody but himself.
It's
right?
true.
He wasn't answering to anybody else but himself. He made these stories because he wanted to give 10, 12, 13, 14-year-old young people stories to look at and to grow up with. And when it gets sold to an entity like Disney, well, they're in the business of making money. Yeah, they make movies, but they're a business that makes money. And when you have an IP like this, you're going to start mining every corner of that franchise to make your money. And so different ideologies or, you know, thoughts processes that drove George Lucas and driving Disney are completely different now. So this is what you'll get, you know. Yeah,
there's more involved in it, right? So but I do think Filoni's going to put the kibosh on all this kind of stuff. Like, I do think Filoni's like, look, we don't need to explore the darkness of these really good characters. Let's like look at other ways to do things. Let's tell other stories. I don't think he shies away from dark stories. I mean, look at Maul. Maul's going to have some kind of some darkness to it. So it's like he's not afraid of them. It's just they have to work within the construct of the franchise without destroying these characters. Because it's true. If you start to show like Yoda's like everyone else, then Yoda stops becoming special. You know, if everyone is flawed, then no one is flawed, right? If everyone is the same, then no one is special. And that, I don't think that's what you want to do with these stories.
I mean, it kind of goes also to that argument of, well, anyone could be a Jedi or anyone could wield the Force.
Right.
And then, you know, makes the argument of, well, then the Force doesn't become as special because anyone with enough training or time or whatever.
That was the rumor for The Force Awakens. I remember there was an early plot leak that was like, oh, everybody gets the Force now. It's like The Force Awakened and everybody.
Well, because we went through it with Sabine and Ahsoka, right? Everyone was like, how could she be, you know, Force sensitive? And like through what things that have been put out previous to that, you know, it's like, well, yeah, you could get there, but it's like, how many times do we really want to go down that well and whatnot?
Yeah.
So,
and I did hammer down on Leslye a lot actually, but I will give her one of the wins I liked when I had done a rewatch was I did like Chimera, the Stranger or whatever, and I did, you know, I remember talking about it when I heard the Kylo Ren theme. And to later hear that, he was going to end up being the first Knight of Ren. Like, I like when things tie in together. That's why you hear the Kylo Ren theme, because he was a Knight of Ren. And that while he wouldn't become a Sith because, you know, the dance card's booked already with Maul and Plagueis and Palpatine coming up. So for him to found the Knights of Ren gives them a lot more street cred, you know, when you finally see them later on.
True. And I wonder how much of this is going to become canon they look back on, or is the Acolyte going to be the Eternals of the Star Wars universe? Where like no one references it, maybe a couple of things, but no one makes it canon. You know, I wonder if that's going to be the way they look at it. Yeah. Do we ever see Chimera again? Do we ever see the twins again? Like, there's a lot of things that you look at this stuff and go, do we see Vernestra again, even in this whole situation? I wonder. We will see. We will see for sure.
Not in live action, I don't think.
Yeah.
Not in live action.
Well, let's move on to this
first. We're going to see Snyder's Justice League movies come back, or the Acolyte.
I would say Snyder is more possible. At least animated. I think that's more possible than anything else. But let's move on to something a little more positive. Starfighter is coming up. It's around the corner. And Daniel Ings, who some of you may have seen, as you see there in the bottom corner, as Lionel Baratheon in Night of the Seven Kingdoms. He just spoke to Screen Rant about Star Wars Starfighter. He said, I wonder if maybe it still hasn't sunk in yet for me. It was such a fun experience. I met Sean Levy, the director, read for the part, and he's inherently playful and clearly sets up an environment where people can bounce off each other and find things in the moment. So in any way, any kind of nervousness about stepping into something like this dissipated because I got there and was like, oh, this is fun and playful. And Ryan Gosling, who I had the most of my stuff with, well, that's good to know. Again, was so playful with it, hunting for interesting moments. I was able to go in and be like, yeah, this is huge, but it still feels as creative as being on something like Lovesick or The Gentleman. or something like that. I felt great. I felt tremendous about it. I fucking loved it. I got nothing to add there. I got nothing, no issues for me. Listen, it was Star Wars through and through, and there were days when I was walking around, there's droids rolling around and animatronic heads and just hundreds of people in these amazing costumes, but with a sort of punk feel to it. I loved it, so I felt excellent about it, and I dug. And he also goes on to say that he likes the new ending that the movie changed to, which there was rumors about the ending being something different. I think this basically means we're going to get Leia, but we're going to get Rey, sorry. But like, your thoughts on this, Frank? What are your thoughts on all of Daniel Ings's comments here?
Well, I like that one of the words he used to describe it was punk. And
Yeah.
I thought that's interesting. I think that could give a particular aesthetic to the movie, perhaps. But also, I imagine any actor, whether you're an extra or the main cast member, if you're on a set for Star Wars, I'm sure it's going to look and feel, unlike anything you've ever worked on.
Yeah.
And so you're going to be just, overstimulated with what's going on and taking.
Unless it was Attack of the Clones and it's a giant green screen.
or that. But so I think also having positive words about the new ending, because you could easily give some sort of milquetoast response of like, well, you're just going to have to go see it in the theater and, let me know what you think. But to offer up words of praise, to go out of your way in a sense to say something like that, I think bodes well. But then again, it's like, I don't know what this guy's movie tastes. So, it could be great, could be not. I don't know. But I think the fact that, when you work on a project, whatever role you're in, and you're able to say something positive about it without, without giving just a run of the mill answer to the press, I think there is something to that. I'm not going to read too much into it, but I go, okay, I'm a little hopeful for whatever they did or changed works better than what they had previously.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this, Kevin? Do you like what he had to say here? And do you buy his enthusiasm for Star Wars?
Hey, remember the Acolyte cast said that they're going to have lightsaber duels that are better than the Phantom Menace, and everybody loved hearing that. He was great in Seven Kingdoms. Every scene he was in, he kind of stole the show. So I can imagine, especially, it's good to hear when you hear that there's an open environment for finding moments. That
is exciting.
That's exciting because that's like they're going to be going back and forth. And I know that Ryan Gosling's in Project Hail Mary, which was with Lord and Miller, and famously on Solo, Lord and Miller had a lot of that kind of ad-libbing going, which is one day if we'll ever see any of that, probably not. But I think that's the way Ryan likes to work. So it's cool that we're going to get a Star Wars movie that might be a little more like, playful in that sense. And when you do find those moments, those are gold, and sometimes it's not stuff that's on the screen or on the paper that comes to life. It's stuff that you find when you're on set. Yeah.
These comments excite me. When you watch actors or read actors' comments, like, as you said, Frank, sometimes they go like, I'm just going to say the safest thing possible. But what he's saying here is like he's speaking to it from a creative place. And that makes me excited. As Kevin was alluding to, the fact that he feels that he could play and find these moments and Sean gave them like space to do that. That means there's going to be a little more excitement, a little more electricity, I would say, than maybe we've seen in Star Wars films recently. And so that could be fun to see what they're going to play with. The punk thing, I kind of bumped on that because I'm like, Sean Levy, Ryan Gosling doesn't scream punk to me, but I think what he's trying to say, though, is that it's so rebellious and irreverent and different than maybe we've seen in Star Wars in some time. And so that gets me excited because, Ryan's energy is that. Ryan is not like, he loves to poke fun at the things that are established, but not in a way that feels like he's ridiculing it. It's more a matter of like, this doesn't make sense. Why are we doing it this way? So if they're going to explore that here, I think that's exciting. When you look at all the ending, though, I wonder what, he says he effing loved it. So, do you guys think it's going to be
the intel on that? Did they redo the ending because they were trying to work, like you said, to work it in with the other movies?
I think it's being done because they want to work Rey in. Yes. I don't know. I don't think it was the ending didn't work. I think they just want to change the ending because there's requirements now, even though they said it was going to be standalone. I think they're going to connect it up to the larger universe.
Right.
At the
prediction time then. My prediction, their backs against the wall. They think he's trying to transfer this kid who's probably some Jedi or something.
Yeah.
But you never know who the Jedi is. And then they're going to have their backs against the wall. And then all of a sudden you're going to just have epic Jedi Way in all of her glory with a double-sided yellow lightsaber going Darth Maul on all their asses. Saving our heroes, and you get to see kind of like remember when Luke said, poor Mark Hamill, he's reading the script, he's so excited, he's reading The Force Awakens, they're in the snow, they're fighting over, and Rey reaches down, and both Kylo and Rey are reaching for the saber, and the Force is starting to shake, and you think it's going to go to Kylo, or you think it's going to go to Finn or whatever, or to Kylo, and it goes right over the shoulder, and then he's reading it, expecting it's going to go to his own hand, Luke.
Yeah.
And it would be Luke in the snow with the saber, saving Rey and saving the day. And by the way, that would have been epic. That would have been a huge, but instead it goes into Rey, right? But maybe they'll make good on that, and they'll have a Rey moment where like you just think that all of a sudden Rey comes out and like saves the day.
Yeah, very possible.
Or Mark Hamill reading that script. He's like, turn the page. It's me. No, it goes right over the shoulder, right over Finn's shoulder.
I do got to say though, I love that moment for Rey though. I love that moment.
For Rey too. And the music score there was great. It's the same exact score of when Luke sees his aunt and uncle die in A New Hope, and that was his call to action, and that was his beginning of his journey as a Jedi, and this was her beginning of like, okay, I'm going to be a Jedi now, like. Same music, same reason. When you watch it again, think of that's the same exact music cue, not the same, re-scored, but same exact music cue and style of when Luke is looking at the dead corpses of his aunt and uncle. Same music. So it was a very powerful moment. Yes.
I agree. Yeah. Well, this is what he said about the ending, just to give a little background, because Kevin was asking the question. He was interviewed by Kevin McCarthy on his podcast, on film, and this is what he said. This is Sean Levy. We had a whole different idea for something in the third act, and then things didn't align. And I was forced to come up with a new idea, and I'm literally right now shooting that section of the movie. And every day I'm grateful that the way I was supposed to do it didn't work out, because the new idea that it forced me to explore is so much better than the original idea would have been. Now, you can look at that and go like, well, that's a lot of directors speak to basically say, the studio asked me to change the ending because they want to bring Rey in, and we're not doing a Rey movie anymore. Or legitimately, he looked at it, the way he was shooting it, everything was progressing, and realized this isn't going to work for an ending. We need to really get a better ending. And now he shot a better ending that may not even have Rey, or was always going to have Rey anyway. It's just different how they're getting there. So, I don't know. What do you guys think of these comments?
I think it's just being a good soldier. I think it's being a good soldier. They maybe redo the movie, kind of like how Gareth Edwards just kind of shut up and did it with Rogue One. Sean Levy, hey, man, maybe I'll do another one of these movies. I don't want to burn this bridge right now.
That's right. Down the road. I want to make money. Exactly. Okay. Let's see. We did have it on the list to talk about this situation. Kevin, do you want to say some stuff about this? Ben Affleck recently signed a deal with Netflix. They have bought his AI startup. It will only be used in-house. It will not be available publicly, is what they said in the video that came out. And this is supposed to help on the back end, AI on the back end, in doing a lot of the cleaning up and the post-production that we see with movies. So more advent of AI going on here, except this one's not going to be necessarily available, Kevin, for people to use on their AI Star Wars films. But what do you think about this situation?
It's a great quote if you hear it. It's what AI can be when they finally rein it in and everybody stops, abusing it or whatever.
Yeah.
It'll be trained on itself. It's essentially, he'll shoot a movie. Imagine if you shoot a movie for 6 months and you have hours on dailies and you have screen grabs, you have 3D models of the sets, you have everything. The AI would then train itself on that. So then in post-production, you could be like, hey, let's redo it. Let's do another angle over there. So it's not taking stuff from Westerns 50 years ago. It's not stealing stuff from Disney's vault. It's training on itself. And the best way I can describe it is how when I do my KOTOR stuff, I'm trained, even though I'm training it with the new animation style, which is pulling it probably most likely from Clone Wars, Rebels, or that kind of 3D animation style. All of the visuals and movements and everything is trained after my KOTOR movies. So, and I could imagine if I had that technology, when we do our KOTOR movies using the KOTOR engine, that's all we would load into the AI. You load in the KOTOR engine, all the models, all of that's what we basically do anyway, where we hack into the game and change angles and stuff like that. So it's an interesting take. Again, he's been a big proponent of AI, but not as abusing AI, but AI as a tool. And it's the most concise version. I sent you that link. I'm like, hear him. Yep. He's like, look, it's going to be trained on everything that you've already done. So now that you have your playground, now that you've built and built all the assets. Now you could take it and, oh, you know what? I really wish that extra back there wasn't doing that movement, but now you can go into the model and say, just take that extra out. You know what I mean? Like that's what it sounded like to me. So I think that's a step in the right direction.
When you watch the 5.5-minute video, you see some of the usage of the AI and you're like, Jesus. I do think people like will lose their jobs to do post-production stuff and clean up and editing and all this kind of stuff. And it'll allow Netflix to make more movies, you know, and that may attract filmmakers. Because directors, not a lot of directors are going to be like, no, I must make this stance to save the jobs of these people. No, these people want to make their movies. And so it may be an interesting situation here. What are your thoughts on this stuff, Frank, as we go forward with AI and the way it's being used here? And Ben Affleck creating a safer version of AI, supposedly.
Yeah, it's a really interesting concept that he has. I think if there's anyone in the business, and I'm not saying I know enough to proclaim this, but if anyone, you know, is going to do something like this, I don't think Ben Affleck is the worst we could do. So, I mean, like, imagine if Jeff Bezos came out and did this video. I mean, we'd be all like, okay, well, whatever. But that said, you know, I'm still going to
Sam Altman.
Right. I'm still going to look, you know, take it's a puff piece that they put out short, you know, like let's calm everyone down, that type of thing. And yeah, it's going to potentially cost jobs, but then I think, you know, this is where unions come in and can still provide protections for actors or you know, directors or whatever, you know, below the line people gotta work with. Because I look at, you know, at my job, I work on the ramp at an airport, and we used to have these belts that don't go into the pit of the airplane. And so normally when I first started, you put two people inside the pit of the airplane to help load and unload the aircraft. Then we got new belts, different belts, where the belt actually retracts inside the pit of the aircraft. So it eliminates one worker from having to be in there. So now you can work the trip with 3 people instead of 4 people. But the question I will have to see how Hollywood, you know, adapts is, are you trying to eliminate people, or are you trying to make something better? You know, you can still make something better, but if you come out with something better and your process is better, but you're not firing, you know, people because you have something that can do part of a job. Yeah. You know, if it's truly a tool, it should help make the process, you know, better, without having to lose as many people as you would think. Hopefully, like pie in the sky. But if anyone's going to do it, I think, you know, with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon and, you know, their actors equity and all that stuff, and how they look at the people of the business, I think, you know, if it's them at the forefront, if it's Ben Affleck at the forefront of it, you know, have to wait and see. But and also obviously remain skeptical, because they can say certain things and maybe that is their intention, but businesses have a way of derailing initial plans to make it something so that, like, we need to do this to make money, you know. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of the industry responds or adapts, or, you know, adopts this tool.
Aussie Legend writes, the problem with using AI for post-production is it's going to make everything look vaguely like AI. And my argument to that is, probably early on, but remember when CGI first came out, like everything had that like Jurassic Park CGI. Remember, like the skin of animals, you look like, oh, that's that CGI that from like 95, 96 till like 2005. But eventually, you know, they'll get their kinks out of there. So I think, as with anything, it's definitely a valid concern, but I do think every year, every day, it's the worst it'll ever look.
Yeah, and I know people are like, oh, VFX artists are going to lose their jobs. Well, they didn't have a problem getting jobs when they put practical effects artists out of a job. So it's like, this is, you know, when you get together with someone who cheats on you, cheats on someone else to be with you, don't be surprised if they cheat on you. Like, it's the way it goes. This is the game. And so I listen, I'm sad that some people might lose their jobs, but you didn't mind putting practical effects people out of jobs. So this is the game. And it's always about the creatives. It is always about the creatives. Whatever is easiest for the creatives, that's what they're willing to do, no matter whose jobs get sacrificed. And right now, and Ben is like, he's a director first, right? So the stuff he's proposing here in this is very much about helping the directors, helping the creators. And yes, it'll help the actors if they look better and the lighting is better and all of that. But the VFX people are absolutely going to be affected by this. But Ben isn't looking at that. Ben is looking at how can we make these movies even better, cheaper, and quicker. And that's what you have going down. But I do think this will eventually motivate people to create the copy of this, like versions of this for themselves that can be out there for filmmakers to use, because this is very much like in-house. You cannot use this technology outside of Netflix. So that's why Netflix bought it and owns it. So, but I do think eventually people will create versions of this that regular people like Kevin and Frank and me and I can use. And so that's going to come very soon for sure.
I'm very curious how this could impact, especially Star Wars, because it allows you to then make more often, but then it's going to come down again to the quality and oversaturation and all these other external things that we think might affect, people's appetites for these properties. Could it mean more? Is that a good thing, though? I don't know.
Or could it mean George Lucas going back into his stuff, going, finally, I can fix it the way I really want it.
I don't have to talk to an actor. I don't have to talk to a studio head. I can do it all myself.
Finally, I can make sure everyone knows that Greedo shot first.
The definitive cut.
Yeah, let me change my job on one more time. I got it right this time. I know I can.
Clunky.
So. All right, let's hit some questions before we get on out of here, because we're past the hour mark, so we should get these questions and roll on. If you want to send them in now. WB Grad says, watching the dinosaur show on Netflix with the visuals done by ILM. They are amazing. If this is what Star Wars gets, my goodness, it will be eye candy. Yeah, I have to say, I saw the trailer for it the other day. The Lady Outlaw loves dinosaurs. She's absolutely excited to see this series. And we both were wondering if this is AI or special effects or what is going on here. Because it's so clean and beautiful. So, yeah, guys, what do you think about this?
I haven't had a chance to see it, actually. Yeah, I'm really curious now to see it. So I'm definitely going to check it out.
Well, yeah, it just came out.
Morgan Freeman narrates. He can narrate a grocery list, and it's going to get you up there. Go to Trader Joe's right away, dude.
The Brontosaurus. Yeah, it's
Please go to the grocery aisle and get yourself some peanuts. And that was the last time I ever needed to get eggs at Trader Joe's. That's a horrible.
I'm like, who
can I say I did meet him, though, at Sundance
right
Film
on the
Festival in 2000.
Oh,
no,
wow.
2002. And I walked by him and I said, "Oh, hi, sir." And he said, "Hello, son." And I was starstruck. Glory is my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, man.
Hello, son.
Yeah.
Between the panels, 2023 says, I kind of wish the franchise would do something new that adds to the lore and expands the world and Jedi abilities without relying on the original story and characters. Also, Mike's haircut was hilarious. Oh, he's talking about the Geek Buddies. Michael got his haircut. He looked like Harry Osborn. So it was not a good situation. Yeah, but we say that. You say that. I kind of wish the franchise would do something new. They have been trying to do something new, but people reject it left and right. So they're really stuck in a place that the fans have put them in. There's the fans who say they want something new, and the fans who want you to do new things, but make it look exactly and feel like the original stuff. So it's tough right now to be a Star Wars creator, for God's sake.
Alan Smithy, it is Kaiser's birthday today. Funny that you asked.
Nice, John Kaiser.
Send him some tweets or texts for his birthday.
Happy 30th, John. Yeah.
I'll say about this kind of goes back again to what I had said earlier about George Lucas. He made them. He didn't answer anybody. He's like, I want to make them because I want to make it this way. And you're just not gonna get that at this level. And they're always gonna be looking, what's the best way to make money? And they got people thinking up, looking at numbers and using AI models to predict, which direction they should go in and what did the people like. So it's not based on, I think this story would be good for young people or for this type of audience, for that audience. It's about, I think this movie would make a lot of money. And that's kind of, that's capitalism for you.
Look, Andor was something new, right? And people loved that. But there are still a lot of people, the former co-host Laura Kelly.
And what did we say afterwards? We'll never get this show again. We'll never get it again. That's what we say.
True. It's true.
Because
it's
more
true.
than likely, we're never going to get something like that from Star Wars ever again.
Not from I don't. Well,
Not from,
I don't think
from
from
Filoni.
Filoni.
Yeah, exactly.
if we're to believe
So
some of the reports. I'm Two Flank Game says Yoda covering up the death of multiple Jedi. LOL. Leslye seems nice, but that's a horrible idea. True or false? True or false? TLJ did irreparable damage. The Last Jedi did irreparable damage to Star Wars IP.
Could I answer that?
Yeah, please.
I will not speak on the IP, but I think it did irreparable damage to the fan base. That's what we talked about. It split it right down the line. It is like you know, say what you will for what your thoughts are on the movie. It's a shame that people hated it or loved it so much that they wanted to have basically civil war as a fandom over it.
Yeah, I said that The Last Jedi is basically the Holdo maneuver in the fandom. It's absolutely the Holdo maneuver in the fandom. Like it fucking shot. You didn't expect it, and it came through, and it was silent and shattered. It shattered it in half. It was crazy. What are your thoughts on this, Rick?
I think the Star Wars fans did the damage, not the movie.
Okay.
I think
Fair.
the way that we interact with each other and the way we hold on to these properties and characters revealed itself to be unhealthy for some.
Yeah.
And first and foremost, I think it was the fans that did the irreparable damage. And sure, you can point to things that Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, Rian Johnson, things they did or did not say in terms of the backlash and, the bigotry that came with certain characters like Rose and misogyny with Rey. So there's a lot of things that they also could have done better to address certain situations, but they weren't the ones out there forcing certain actors to take down their Instagram pages and things. It's how we all interact with one another that did the damage.
Yep.
And so if we were just more nice and cordial and understanding and still constructive, and you can give your criticisms, but instead of launching hate campaigns, go have a drink of water instead. So
we're seeing it happen right now with lanterns, right? That lanterns people are civil war about lanterns right now. Like, oh, it's not enough green. This is what they told us it was going to be. What are you guys upset about? No way, it's not my Green Lantern. They clearly don't know what they're doing. And it's like, oh my God.
I think it's kind of like they always say that the Civil War was the first war, and then especially World War I, where the technology of the weapons outpaced the battlefield strategies. And so they were still sending people down the line and getting mowed down by machine gun fire. And it was so archaic, and that they should have figured it out. And they finally figured it out, by the time World War II. I think that technology has caught up so fast with people allowing to make their comments known, and they have strong opinions, and everybody's entitled to their opinions. And I think that it would have been just as ugly back in '99 if with social media. I mean, there's a force.
Oh my God,
you know what I mean? Like, imagine that. So let's be glad for poor Jake Lloyd, who already had a rough childhood anyway.
Yeah,
for his sake, that there was not Instagram around back then. But it's a very well put there.
Yeah, listen, Empire Strikes Back comes back. I guarantee you there's a civil war about Vader being Luke's dad. I guarantee you there is a war about this. What? How are they going to make him his dad? I love Luke. Why would his dad be? Why would you do that? It's such a cop-out. It would absolutely split the fucking fandom. And
I don't know about that. I would say Leia in a return probably would be more divisive. I think that it's very interesting, man. Well, Rocha,
the Luke and Leia kiss. Can you imagine the Luke and Leia kiss in social media? And you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck? Is Luke on Epstein Island? Did George Lucas go to Epstein? 100%. This would be the conversation.
Who would have thought two Epstein Islands references in this video?
You guys know this. It would happen. KJ, what's up, KJ? Good to see you. He says, when Disney obtained Star Wars, I expected beautiful 4K releases of the Ewoks, droids, and even the holiday special. Thoughts on why no releases? Gentlemen, what do you?
I don't think there's a clamp,
because they wouldn't make money.
I wouldn't make money
too.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody else is clamoring for it, but
there's not enough demand for that, probably. Yeah,
I think Disney Plus is where it lives and where it should live if they were to clean it up and give you 4K releases of those, but not.
Give me IMAX 3D releases of those, my friend. Give me what's the girl's name they're singing in the holiday special? I want to see her on a 500 giant foot screen.
B. Arthur? Is that who you mean?
B. Arthur singing that
Oh man.
in 3D IMAX.
You know, I've never seen
Real
I've never
3D.
seen the holiday special.
What? You never seen the holiday special? Oh
No.
man. Oof.
I've never seen any
Hold
of
off
the
on
Ewok
it and
movies
do
either.
we should hold off on it and watch it together.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah.
Sure.
It's on Disney Plus, right?
Yeah.
So,
I can't say I've been tempted to click on it, but I see it and go.
Well, now don't. That would be a
I
fun
think
reaction
one day
video.
I'll get to it, but today's not that day.
oof. Today's not that day.
Just make sure your
for sure.
your fridge is fully stocked when you decide to take the plunge.
All right, well, there you go. Let's end our show there. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. With well over 100 of you hanging out with us on a Saturday night, so we appreciate it. You could be out gallivanting around in your city, but you're here with us, so we appreciate it badly. Thanks for the super chats as well. And thanks to these two wonderful gentlemen. Frank, where can they find you and follow stuff that you got going on, brother man?
Yeah, you can just follow me on Twitter, Instagram, FrankieJ29. It's a lot of sports stuff, a lot of Bears football, a lot of Chicago sports stuff. So if you're into
Bears.
sports and having, following my random thoughts on that stuff, you can go ahead and do that. Thanks.
You
What's
mean
the
like
29 stand for again? I forget.
29. I got sometimes, I'm going to have an origin movie that goes back to the origins of the number 29. But
Yeah.
we're working on the
Sometimes
script. It's pretty daunting. It's
James
pretty
Mangold attached.
daunting. yeah.
Sometimes things don't need to be explained.
Exactly.
Have the mystery, Kevin. Have the mystery. And Kevin, of course, you got so much going on in the world of Star Wars. Please let people know where to find you and where to find all that stuff.
Man, when AOL came out, I didn't understand email, and every year I'd create a new email. So my first email was Smets97, and then I would have KSmets98, and then Kevin Smets99. Like, how would anybody keep up with me? Like, you could find me at KSmets99 at prodigy.net. No. At Kev Smets, revenmovie.com. You can go there. It'll link you to my KOTOR channel. Not much today, but yes.
Okay.
It's good to talk Star Wars with you fine folks.
You
And
too,
just
brother.
remember, be kind. You can be anything in this world. It's so easy. But the easiest thing to do is to be kind. So be kind to those out there, especially in this day and age, in this world where we need it.
Yeah, for sure. Especially the Indiana Bears. The Indiana Bears now.
All right, let's.
I love that.
It's just leverage. It's just leverage.
Oh, man.
It's not gonna happen.
Indie Bears, guy. Indie Bears.
The Evanston Bears. There you go. All right. Anyway,
I'd rather have Evanston than fucking Indiana.
there you go. Please follow me at The Rocha Says on all social media. And of course, subscribe to the channel down below. Hit a like on this video as well. Leave your comments on everything. And as I said, if you want to send some support, hit that thanks button. Send some support. And if you want to listen to any of the previous episodes of the Jedi Way, you can go to the John Rocha podcast channel. It is living and breathing there. We'd love to get more people subscribed to that channel so you can hear all the content we do here, except for the Geek Buddies and the Hot Mic. Everything else is on there. So thank you all so much. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of the Jedi Way. Peace. Oh, we got more. There you go.